All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. We are going to be talking about some good stuff today. So this is the podcast about where we listen to both sides. We have both liberal and conservative voices here, and we work on trying to find common ground, what we agree on, less focus on that versus focusing on what we don't agree on, which is what every other talking head tries to do. So tonight we're going to be talking about dating. So this is dating and the kind of like radicalization of different genders and things and how that's played out in the election. So it's going to be interesting. And then we're also going to be talking about the United Healthcare CEO assassination and just the fallout from that. And there's a lot to talk about there. So yeah. So I've got Ryan Cragen here. He's wears red, but he is the liberal side. And Josh wears blue, but he is the conservative side. Why do
And
we
I'm
do this?
pretty,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Josh is wearing a PETA shirt tonight just to throw people off.
Is
So
that true?
you're a vegan now, Josh? Is that what's going on? That's what I figured. People eating tasty animals. So Josh is trolling the
I
vegans.
really didn't even do that on purpose, but I'm glad I did.
This is just part of your regular attire.
Yeah,
This was a
that's
gift for my mother-in-law, actually.
from
And
your mother-in-law.
yeah, she thought it was funny. So I was like, okay, I'll roll with it. I'm generally
So
not a troll, believe it or not, despite all appearances to the contrary, because you guys see me at my best because I'm fighting Ryan. He literally brings the worst out of me.
He probably does. Ryan has that
uh,
effect on people.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I do have I should never say this because I have friends who are vegans, right? But do you guys know how to tell if someone's a vegan?
They'll tell you.
Yes. Damn it. How do you know the answer to that joke?
Because
It's
you were a
awesome.
vegan.
I was not. I was vegetarian.
You and your
But
wife were whatever for a couple of years. You
about
smelled
10
funny.
years.
You looked sickly.
funny.
Oh, we did not.
Uh,
Okay.
he
Oh, you
was.
ruined my joke,
It didn't
I'm
Josh.
affect
sorry.
his
I'm
hiking.
sorry. No, I've heard a version of that joke. How do
Yeah,
you
some
know?
comedian said it. I was like, that's actually
Yeah.
really funny.
How do you know if somebody's a vegan, an atheist, or a CrossFitter? Because they'll
They'll
tell you
tell you.
immediately.
Hmm. Our sponsor, Lux Bidets.
Lux
We're all big into
bidets.
bidet. That's one thing we can agree on is that
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm a freak. Because how do you know I'm a bidet user? I will tell you immediately. I will show you if you ask.
yes.
How do you show
We like to
that?
be
Oh
we like to be
Drop my
washed,
I'll drop
not
trout.
smeared.
Have I told you guys that this is my wife's least favorite part of this podcast?
Several
Every single
times.
time we do it.
And we get
She's
more
like,
grotesque
Cringing.
every
I
time.
Cringing.
know. Okay, should we jump into it?
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
So, I was just reading New York Times headlines, I guess. I don't know. And this story came across, and I thought it was, I mean, it looked interesting. It's by Sarah Bernstein, and the title of it, it's a guest essay, and it's an opinion piece, is
Hmm.
How Our Messed Up Dating Culture Leads to Loneliness, Anger, and Donald Trump. Now, I mean, I think there's, a lot of speculation in here, but the basic premise is that our dating culture, and this is not just like singles dating, it's like eventually people getting married too, but our dating culture has shifted over the last X number of years. And as a result, there's been a bunch of changing gender dynamics and relationship dynamics that have led to men feeling kind of marginalized and arguably kind of disenfranchised. And she argues that that has ultimately led them to be on the conservative side and that Donald Trump is appealing to these individuals. Now, I don't know that I agree with any of that or all of that, but I did think it was kind of interesting. We do know that young men were more likely to vote for Trump than they were to vote for Kamala Harris. So I was just interested in your guys' take on this article. And like, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Just kind of open.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts on this. And
I figured you might, Tom.
yeah, Yeah, I do. Okay, there are, I mean, and I'm not just, this is just isn't my opinion. There are a lot of stats that show that men are kind of being sidelined, especially young single men are being sidelined and are unable to find partners successfully, are not I think right here. So percentage of 18 to 34-year-old men who are not dating has tripled since 2007. So rising from
Wow.
about 10% to 28 to 30%. So like 30% of our basically 34 and younger are not, they're not even dating. They're not dating at all. Like not
And
looking.
is that because they can't or they don't want to?
More than likely it's because they can't find success in it, right? And
Hmm.
and we brought this up I think I brought, well, no, we didn't bring it on the call, but I think I said this before, right? It's 200 swipes for the average man to get a match um, with anyone online. And like that's, which is, and for women, I don't know what it is. It's much, but it's much higher, right? They can match, right? Much faster because they access,
They control it. They are
they
in control of the dating scene. They're the ones
100%.
that get to say yes.
They control access to sex is how it's been,
Yep.
like I've heard it termed. And so men are always, it's like they can call up any, like and I've even had these conversations with single women. We've talked about it. Like, I'm like, you can call up any friend and say, hey, I want to go tonight. And they'll come over, right? A guy can't do that, right? Hey, you want to go over? I mean, like some can, but like most can't.
Well, you
Uh,
mentioned, what was the statistic you mentioned? The top 10% of men on these dating sites, they have, it's like 3 swipes, and then the other 80, I can't remember the statistic you gave when we chatted about it. Do you remember?
I
well,
thought it was
yeah,
something like a 20 to 1. For every 20 who swipe on you, you swipe on one, Tom. Sorry, I don't mean to make this personal. I'm just like, because Tom is in
yeah.
the top 10%.
Well,
Just an
Tom is a
advertisement for
desirable
all our
alpha
female
male.
listeners out there. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. So okay, the basically, yeah. I was giving you some of my stats, but like,
Oh,
no, yeah.
sorry. I thought those were like
Basically,
generic stats, but
yeah. It's just, yeah, they get a much higher swipe rate, right? So this is okay. What it's been termed is like men. We're returning back to
alpha
like
males.
lords and serfs kind of a system where it's like the men get all, the top guys get all the women, the lower guys don't get any. And so this is where you get like Mongolia, where half the country is related to Genghis Khan, right? Because he was sleeping with everybody, and that meant there was a bunch of guys not sleeping with anyone, right? Not getting anything. And so this is, prima nocta and all these other
I
like
just
things.
thought of that. Prima nocta.
Yeah, yeah. We
Sick.
can't if we can't get them out, we'll breed them out.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where
anyway,
we're heading.
and we're not even heading. We are there. We
Yep.
are there. It's like that's happening right now. So yes, that is totally happening. And like I honestly believe this is society altering changes. Like you get enough men who can't win in the system and they will burn the system down, right? Like that's like it's like when youth unemployment hits a certain rate, right? You're on the verge of a revolution, right? It's just this but this is a similar sort of stat where it's like you can't win, you're gonna it's not bad things are gonna happen. And like you could say I don't know, Trump was part of that. I don't know, right? It was like sort of the FU to the rest of the society. I don't know because I do think there was a lot of problems with sort of like the left, and I think they could have easily won this election. They just shot themselves in the foot. There was plenty of people who didn't want to vote for Trump. I don't know why they got Kamala. I don't know why they did such a horrible job running their campaign. So I don't know, right? If this is like I
Okay. Uh, just as I don't know if it's an off the wall follow up, and Josh hasn't had his chance to comment, but how would the left have been responsible for this? I guess is my question, right? So why would it be that Trump is polling these people and they're pulling away from the
Be-
left?
Because the left created the no-win scenario for young men. Okay. Um, I hate to broach this subject because it gets a little uh I don't know. Sometimes this gets hot-blooded, but first wave feminism was great. It was, women should be equal to men. Women should be able to go get jobs. Women should have all the same rights. That's great. Everybody's behind that. But then you get to this third wave feminism that we're just kind of cresting. I think we're going to get out of it because it's not working. But it basically said women don't need men. Women should be in the workforce. Women shouldn't be saddled at home with kids. And I think this is exactly where it led. It led us to this point. Okay, I've seen these weird conglomeration videos where guys will go around just asking random women, young women, single women, do you need a man in your life? And their go-to response is always like, no, men are worthless. What do I need a man for? Like it's weird.
Have you heard of the man or a bear? Which one would you pick?
Yeah.
And the big thing is they pick a bear.
That's bizarre.
Because men are so scary, bad, dangerous.
Yeah, they've been conditioned to think that men are terrible and that they don't need men and they're big, strong women. Okay, fine. I'm a libertarian. I'm not going to say you can't do that, but and then what is the messaging the left has given the men with this toxic masculinity, where it's really it's a confusing message, and it's a no-win scenario. I'm supposed to kind of be masculine in some things, but if I'm too masculine, then I'm going to get hit with rape charges and like I'm a terrible person. And like I've seen these liberal pundits and stuff say, my young boys, they're just rapists in waiting, and like they say this bizarre stuff. Like how are young men supposed to receive this messaging from the left because they can't win? There's two viral videos that I saw recently. One was of this, she was an attractive young lady, but she had tattoos and piercings, and she was like kind of ripped, like she clearly went to the gym a lot, and it was her having this aha moment, and she's going, I'm crazy. There's a reason I can't find a man to wife me up. Apparently that's the new language these young people use. Yeah. I can't find a guy to wife me up because I'm crazy. Look at me. I got these nose rings and these tattoos. And she was actually really pretty, but she was having this realization that she's been focusing on all the wrong things. So no guy is going to take her seriously. Guys will sleep with her, but guys aren't wifing her up. And then there's this other video that went viral of this young lady I think it was New York. She was very liberal, and she was flabbergasted because she went on a date with a country boy from the South, and she was like, he got the door for me, and he had to go to the bathroom, so he just handed me his credit card and told me to buy whatever I wanted, and he was a gentleman, and I'm in love. She was like just shocked, and this is like how we grew up. Like that's what you do as a guy. You take care of the woman. But the messaging now with this third wave feminism is guys can't be masculine, and they have to be allies, and they have to be these little soy boys, or they're bad guys. And then I keep seeing these videos that go viral of girls, young women, having these aha moments going, that's not what I want. I don't want one of these gender neutral little soy boys. I like the masculine guys, the one that turns me on. So I think, to answer your question, and I hope I didn't step on your toes there, Rye, I think that's why you can throw the blame on the left. It's this third wave feminism movement to erase men and say men are just rapists in waiting and this toxic masculinity. That's what I've seen. I don't know if you have any data to back that up, but that's where we're at.
Can I add to that?
Please.
Well, so I agree with everything you're saying for the left's responsibility of creating sort of a toxic environment for males. I do believe that, right? There is another, it's a YouTube station. It's actually a guy that's calling it out, but it's showing women working out at the gym, and they put cameras up, and if a guy even looks over, they're like, "Oh, what's your problem?" or something like that.
Lose
right?
Their minds.
It's total toxic, and he's calling it out. What's his name?
I've seen it. I know who you're talking about. These women are baiting it just so they can. Yeah.
Yes.
They can say the men are creeps.
Right. When it's just some guy looking over or trying to help
Yeah.
or whatever, and a lot of the time, and it's just that's a highlight of the toxic culture. The other flip side of this, I don't think is really it's not the left's fault. It's not. It's just society in general. It's that like it was pretty recently women surpass men on earnings. Like women are
Mhm.
now earning more than men, right? And that's creating an imbalance the in societal norms, right? Because it's the whole what do they call it? The taller woman scenario, right? A woman wants to date a guy that's taller than her.
Hmm.
So a 5'10" girl is limited on who she can date, but she's now competing with the 5'3" girl who's also wants to date the 6 foot guy, right? It's the same with earning potential, right? They want to marry. Most women want to marry or date someone who's earning more than them. Well, and what they say? So that means the CEO of this female CEO of this company is now competing with the girl at the barista down at the coffee shop because they both can compete for this guy, whereas the CEO's got very limited options, right? She's because it's just getting smaller and smaller. And so here's the stat on dating apps like Tinder, approximately 80% of women are pursuing the top 20% of men, creating a highly
Wow.
competitive environment for male users. So so it's basically it's becoming so what was I saying? Yeah, so you've got like this great if you're making lots of money and you're doing well, great, world's great, but then you've got all these other people who can't compete and are having a hard time getting a woman because they can't compete with them
Yeah.
economically, right? As well as like on this other scale.
Um, Interesting. So I'm not going to immediately jump in and say like I disagree with everything. I think this is all wrong. I do want to just ask though, right? And I probably maybe agree. We'll see that it might have gone too far, but there is like there can be problems with how men treat women.
Absolutely.
Can we agree with that? Like that's where
Absolutely.
I wanted to kind of like let's find some common ground, right? That there can be
Mhm.
men who are terrible, right?
For sure.
And
Well,
abusive.
that's why first wave and even second wave feminism is great. It was bringing to forefront these problems, saying there is such a thing as like real toxic masculinity, right?
Okay,
Men that
but
are
what do you
beating their
mean by
wives.
that? That's what I really want to just like
That's the
clarify. Like, what do
problem.
you mean by
There's
that?
no
Yeah.
clarification there because third wave feminism just basically said anything that they wanted to label as any attribute that they didn't like is toxic masculinity, and it gets really confusing for men. Men are sitting here going, well, I don't know how to be a man now. It's a no-win situation that this is created for men. That's why they're so frustrated, because I don't know how to define that term. obviously there are Obviously there are things that men can do going too far. When you gaslight a
Well,
wife and say, I only beat you because you don't act right, that's bad. That's
yeah,
toxic masculinity, right?
Mhm.
But
yeah,
that's
an example would be like opening the door for a woman, right?
yes,
Which is
exactly.
like the woman gets offended, he's
Yeah.
being right. I can do it myself, da 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 da. Right? This is toxic
Hmm.
masculinity. It used to be good manners, but now
Yeah.
it's toxic masculinity, right?
It's
It's this like,
bizarre.
yeah,
I opened a door for an older gentleman today. He's maybe 60. Is that toxic masculinity? Like, it's
Asshole.
bizarre. It's
You're an
weird,
asshole, Josh. You're
right?
terrible.
That's what it feels like. That never
Um,
used to go through my head as a kid. Yes, I should get the door for whoever, especially a
right.
woman.
Just being
Now
nice.
it actually goes through my head. If I get the door for this lady, is she gonna yell at me? Because that's happened. It's so stupid. That's where it's gone too far. This like where Jordan. Sorry, right? I'm not giving you enough time here, but Jordan Peterson calls out the left and says the right at least knows when they go too far. The left doesn't. That's the problem with the current left status quo. And this is another example of where the left was proper in pushing for women's rights. Fantastic. Good job, left. But now you've gone too far because we don't even know what the boundary
Okay.
is. We don't know how to define toxic masculinity.
Right, right. And so I think at some level we're in the same area as like agreeing, but now I'm kind of wondering like where would you draw the line? And maybe that's not a fair question, right? Maybe both of you are like, I don't know. Like the women need to tell us where to draw the line, but I don't know
No,
that that's the right answer either. So like where do you draw the line that we've crossed over into this is toxic masculinity versus This is chivalry. This is good behavior, good manners. This is what women want. This is what it means to be a man. Like, I'm just wondering where the line is, at least as you see it.
I would draw the line all the way back to like the 50s. Like, I believe men should take care of women. Full stop. My job is to take care of my wife and my children. I don't expect her to put herself out there and take care of me. I'm full on for everything a man can chivalrously do for a woman. He should. I think we should get back to standing up when a woman enters a room. I love it. And there's no way that would fly in modern society. Not right now. And not unless we have a course correction, which we're starting to have. People are pushing back against this crap. But that's where I worship my wife. She's awesome. She's everything to me. So you call me a misogynist, I don't care. Like, I no longer care where the line is because the left has gone so far. It's the same as the racism issue. I used to care when I was called that. Now I just don't even care. So if you're going to call me a misogynist, I don't care anymore. I'm going to take care of women. I'm going to get doors for women. Full stop. I don't care. Like, I don't even care where the line is. That's where I'm at.
Tom, thoughts?
You Ryan, would you say uh, uh I don't, because I'm like, I read, the article you sent me was talking about how like men are being kind of wooed by Donald Trump because they're disenfranchised by the left. I believe all that.
Yeah.
And you could almost say when Josh is saying there's pushback, that voting for Trump was a referendum on some of this, extreme feminism. And that I would probably agree with that too. I don't know if you're implying that there's more to that or not.
What do you mean?
Like, are you implying? Because the article subtly hinted that like there was a
Yeah.
dark side to all this,
Oh
right?
yeah, I think it is. I mean, I don't even know if it's that subtle, right? I think it's
It
definitely
wasn't
saying
subtle.
like this is a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like that's part of the reason why I started out by saying like I don't know that I agree with everything in here. Um, I don't know that I disagree necessarily, but I don't know that I agree. I I might just be kind of like open-minded on this point. Let me give a very quick illustration to kind of hint at like why I'm a little confused by this whole thing. I do an exercise in my classes with my students. I do this in all my like introduction to sociology classes, now another one, where I have them walk through dating norms. And I say, like, okay, let's just assume a heterosexual relationship. How does it typically work? And we kind of walk through it. And basically, the stereotypical dating norm is like men ask women, right? Then men decide like where you're going to go and men pay. And as I'm walking them through that, I'm saying, if men are doing this, like, who has the power? Okay. And usually there's always somebody who's like, well, women do, right? Because women could say no. Women have the power to turn them down. And I'm like, nah, hold on. Women only can say no if men ask, right? So by men having like the ability to ask, then making some of those decisions and then paying, I ultimately get to the point of like, what are men paying for? And this makes the students really uncomfortable because someone invariably is like, oh, they're paying for sex. And I was like, actually, I don't think that's true. I genuinely do not think that's true, right?
Sometimes it is.
Well, sometimes. What I think men are paying for is your time. They're paying for your time and attention, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's actually fair to say,
That's probably
right?
accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're so. But then of course, I have to just be provocative, right? So I'm kind of joking with them. And so I say, well, if they're paying for your time, what does that make you women? Do you guys know what it makes them?
Prostitute.
Prostitute means they're paying for something, right? Not just their time. It's an escort. They're escorts, right? And so I actually will say that, but I kind of mean it like jokingly, just to provoke them, to get them to think, right?
Sure.
Inevitably, at the end of this conversation, because it's usually like a 15-minute exercise in my classes, and I'm just trying to get them to think about gender norms and how this plays out. At the end, I say, okay, now women, how many of you are no longer going to let men pay when you go on a date. And the vast majority of them will say, no, I still want men to pay. And I'm like, but you know what they're paying for, right? They're paying for your time, and that clearly reflects a power imbalance. And the vast majority of the women still want that. And this, I don't know that it necessarily has me confused, but at some level, I think it's reflecting this complicated situation that it's like, where is the line? So most of them recognize, yeah, he's got more power than I do in this relationship if he's paying, even though it may be like benevolent, right? He's trying to do a nice thing. It's not that it's ill intentioned, but he does have more power. But I want it. What does that mean? And that's a sincere question. Like, I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm always just kind of surprised that I'm like, we could have equality, and you're literally saying I do not want equality.
Well, I think that's exactly what they're saying. And I
Yes.
think the idea, it feels like what the left is trying to push us to is that men and women are equal
Or the same.
that they're the same.
Yes.
They're going to react the same and do things the same. And it turns out they're not.
Yep.
And it's like,
That's exactly right.
it is like,
But what do you mean by
wow,
they're not the same, right?
we have
And
different
I'm not disagreeing with you.
motivations, different motivations and different
Interests, things that
interests.
motivate us, things
Yeah.
that get us going, right? My only women can be mothers, and the left has really tried hard the last couple of years to confuse that, right? Only women can be mothers. Only women can have children, and there's something that brings to the kids that I can't bring, right? And my wife is fulfilled by mothering the kids. I'm not. I don't like when the kids get hurt. Who do they go to? Because I'm just going to tell them to suck it up. You're not bleeding that bad, right? It doesn't like that's my job. So my wife likes mothering the children. She was fulfilled by staying home and being a stay-at-home mom, and current society frowns on that.
Okay, but some men can find a lot of satisfaction in that too.
Some, but they're the
Sure.
outliers.
Yeah.
Okay, but Jordan Peterson, again, to reference him, he talks about this with the
Feels like I'm just debating Jordan Peterson half the time.
because he elucidates it so clearly you can't even argue with it, right? He talks about how they thought they were going to create a more egalitarian system in the Scandinavian countries where they were going to take away all of the societal stigmas attached with professions, and men and women would proliferate through all of the jobs equally. And it was the exact opposite. When they made it really egalitarian and they got rid of all of the societal stigma, all the women went to fields that interfaced with people. All of the men went to fields.
Not all of them.
Okay, but the vast majority, it became more disparate than it is even here because it's more egalitarian there. And the men are more interested in things, women are more interested in people. That's just how we're built. And again, yes, there are obviously outliers. There always will be, but that's we are equal.
Yeah.
We are not the same. And the left has confused that and conflated that very badly the last 20 years. And I think that's a big part of the problem.
Yeah, the other example is that women are hypergamous, right? So this is what I was saying a minute ago. Like a 5'10" woman usually wants to marry a 6 foot or taller guy, right? Someone who's taller than them. That's just they also want to date someone who makes more money than them. That's just the way.
It's what they find attractive.
Yes,
Okay.
it's what they find attractive. It's what they're attracted to. And
Well,
therefore,
yeah.
men are doing often the opposite, right? They're often marrying someone shorter, younger, who makes less because there's some motivations that, right? They want that respect, the admiration, whatever, right? That means we're just different.
Right. And I'm not disagreeing, right? Like I am, I don't know. I would hate to think I'm a minority among my sociology colleagues and recognize that like sex is actually a thing. I have colleagues who say that sex is a social construct. Gender arguably is, right? But sex, come on, like let's not kid ourselves. But I guess I had a thought and now I lost it.
Well, it speaks to what you were just saying, though. You were like, the women want this imbalance. Yeah. And so do the guys.
Oh,
we all
that's what it was.
want it. And therefore, you seemed almost weird about it, right? That these women were okay with this strange imbalance in the relationship. And I'm like, yeah, we want that imbalance.
So part of the reason why I think it is weird is, I mean, if you ask Debbie, right? Like Debbie and I never dated per se, right? We always split checks. It was a very egalitarian relationship and kind of always has been. And definitely there are some men and women who want that, right?
Porn was created in a test tube.
He is an
Very,
experiment. You can ask
very
him. That's
scientific
true. He is
relationship.
an experiment. But so certainly there are people who want the more egalitarian relationship. But let me ask like a follow-up relative to the article. So the article points out that women are not universally, right? But there are definitely more women now who are out earning men. Is that a bad thing? And if that's not a bad thing, then don't our norms have to shift to reflect the fact that some men are going to marry women who are better educated than they are and make more money than they do? And
Yeah.
that's just a shift in the norms. Like fighting that is stupid, if you ask me, right? But this is like part of the question. Like, why is this a problem? Why can't we get over this?
Well, it's happening right now, Ryan, and that
Yeah,
is a
I
big
know.
deal. Like women are frustrated because they're like I have seen all these videos. Where are all the men? Where are all the men?
Yeah.
And they're there. They're just not the men you want, and the ones you want are being competed by tons of other women, and you're not going to get them. And so you, it's you're saying I think you framed it of like, can men accept this? It's women who will also have to swallow this pill, and they don't like it at all.
You asked, is it a bad thing that women are out earning men? And the article referenced women. There's way more women going to college and getting
Yeah, I mean, that's
educations
been the
than men.
case for 40 years.
Yeah. Is it a bad thing? Look around. It's obviously a bad thing because there's been this. Look around. Why are we discussing it? You're so shocked because you've been programmed to think we are the same. You have.
Somebody programming me. I'm not
What do you
saying that
think
we're
the
the
colleges
same,
are doing?
Josh. I'm not saying we're the
Okay,
same. I'm
so
saying
but you're
there
so
are smart
shocked that
women
I
out
would
there
say
who can have good jobs and make a
absolutely,
lot of money. Why is that a
absolutely,
problem?
because
Deal with it.
because they're supposed to be mothers, and you're gonna hate this answer. You're gonna hate it, but just look
Well, we
around
can
and go, oh,
disagree.
okay, good, because we're gonna disagree here. Yeah, I think it's a bad thing because I think the most fulfilling thing that a woman can do is be a mother, just as the most fulfilling thing that a man can do is be a father. And they're two separate roles. They're two very distinct roles. I bring different things to the table than my wife brings to the table for our children. And being a father to my children is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. And that's the same for my wife. She put off her career. She recently just went back to school. She just finished her last assignment for her nursing master's degree this week. She's so excited because it sucked. She's actually more educated than I am now. It's fantastic. I still make more money, but it's because I work more hours. She was vastly more fulfilled by raising our kids. That's what she always wanted to do. So I did what I could to facilitate that. And now that our kids are in school and she had more time, she decided to go back into the workforce.
Okay.
And what I'm seeing is the opposite. There's this big push for women to be strong and empowered and not need a man in their life. So they go and spend all of this time and money, becoming educated and then putting that to good use and getting a career and becoming successful, and good on them. But then they realize, oh, my biological clock's about out. I don't have any kids and I don't have a husband. I don't have anybody to wife me up, and I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. I'm frustrated because they were lied to, in my opinion. Like, what is the true joy and happiness of having all that money when you have nobody to share it with and you don't have any kids to spend it on? I'm not a millionaire. I spend all my money on my kids because what else am I going to do with it? That's what I care about.
And that's fine. I think where we're struggling here to find agreement is that you seem to be talking in absolutes, as though
No,
this is true for all women.
of course there's going to be outliers.
But do you see? And don't call them outliers, because outlier means something very technical in the statistical terms. That is like way out on the
Of course,
outside.
there's going to be freaks.
Thanks, Josh. Variation would be the right term.
I strive to be
Variation would
sensitive.
Yes, I know. But there are clearly some very competent, highly skilled women. And
if
why
that's
should
really
they be
what they
penalized
want,
for that?
and they
Right,
have,
if that's what
and they
want.
truly have no desire to have kids, and they weren't like pre-programmed by society and third wave feminism or whatever, because the it's so funny because the rallying cry from the left has been, this is all societal stigma. And it's imbalance and it's unfair to women. Well, now I'm seeing societal stigma doing the exact same thing that the left is decrying. Societal stigma is telling women, no, you don't need to be subservient to a man and just stay at home and have his babies. You're a strong woman. You should go get a job. That's the new societal stigma. So we went from a very patriarchal society on the one side, and now the pendulum swung completely to the other side, and now we're telling women the wrong thing, right? We're telling men the wrong thing over here. You're in charge, and the woman should be subservient to you. And now we're all the way over here telling the women, you don't need men; they're worthless. Choose a bear and a career over kids and anything that's actually fulfilling. Do you see what I'm saying? That
Again,
I think
let's
is
not
what
talk in
happened.
absolutes. I think there are many women who don't
Sure.
want kids, and I think we would all agree that there are some people who shouldn't have kids.
Sure.
So, like, all of that's fine. I just am wary of speaking in absolutes. There's natural variation in every population. There are a lot of women who just don't want that, and they want to pursue a career. And here's where I think if there's a massive backlash, where I would be concerned is if the backlash is so far, and maybe you can clarify this for me and say, like, that's not where I want to go. But if the backlash is so far that it's like, no women can be CEOs, no women can be successful, no women can be physicians, no women can be lawyers, right? Do you see what I'm saying, though? So, like,
sure.
The absolute argument of, like, women should pursue their primary focus, which is having kids, right? Some women, the women who want to, should be free to do that, and there should be no social stigma with that. I'm 100% on board with that argument, right? That there's no social stigma.
But how are you going to get there? Because there is currently social stigma on a stay-at-home mom. There just is. I see it all the time.
Okay, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but you also actually live in rural Utah where there would be, like, the least amount of stigma for this. So there has to be places in Utah where there's, like, no stigma for somebody being a stay-at-home mom.
And this probably goes into our next topic, actually, because it's so much of this keeping up with Jones's capitalist
but that's actually what the left is criticizing.
Yeah, but it goes hand in hand. Why do so many of these women feel like they have to get a job? Because it's so freaking expensive to live and to buy a house and to get healthcare right now, and we're
not disagreeing with any of that.
What's the word I'm looking for? Where we use stuff, we're using society. Consumerism, right?
Consumption.
Yeah, we're a consumption-based society. It's all about this consumerism, so we think we have to keep up with the Joneses. Our priorities are just so out of whack. That's the problem. If we didn't think that we had to have all of this material garbage that we're just going to throw away in a week, then we could afford to just let our wives stay home with our kids because we don't have to buy a boat to keep up with the Joneses down the street.
Who invited the socialists? What is up with this?
It has nothing to do with socialism. It has everything to do with family values.
Come on, Ryan, that was funny.
Not bad.
That was funny.
I want your take on this whole article, because you're interviewing us a lot. I want to know what your thoughts are. Are you thinking that there's radicalization of men?
Radicalization in terms of, like, they're now anti-women, or what do you mean by radicalization?
Well, I keep going back to the article, right? It kind of implied that there was this men are getting radicalized and voting for Trump and because they're disenfranchised and
but it didn't say, like, what they were radicalized about. It intimated that, right?
Does it actually say radical?
Or no, I don't think it does.
I think radical is a little bit extreme.
Well, it talks about how
pushing him to the
Trump
conservative
and
side.
Rogan and all of these, these guys are, like, rallying this radical young male base of fanatics. But again, the article wasn't clear on what are they so adamant about. And I don't think that's the problem at all. But yeah, you answered the question, right?
I mean, are they being radicalized? Maybe if we change the language so it's not radicalized, but they're pushing more conservative.
That's what I'm trying to get.
What's my take? Yeah. I definitely think there's something interesting going on here. I do think it's certainly plausible, probably true, that there is a segment of the male population who feels left behind, who feels marginalized, and at some level, they're blaming, maybe not wrongly, they're blaming women for this, right? Because women, this is how I explain it in my classes, right? If you actually look at income brackets, this is using census data. If you look at income brackets by education, for a woman to make as much as a man with a high school diploma, she has to have a college degree. Okay. So this is how I explain to my students, like, why is it that our university population is about 60-40, 60% female, 40% male? And that's true at most universities across the country. It's because women want to make money, and to make as much as a man with a high school diploma, they have to get 4 years of college. So is it really, and I think this is why I struggle with this a little bit, is it really women's fault? Right. And I think we would probably all agree, if we want to blame this nebulous culture, right, that there's cultural pressure leading women to like do a double shift, that they have to be moms and be highly successful, and that men are supposed to be breadwinners and caretakers, right? And so we're putting unrealistic expectations basically on everybody. But I don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense for men to be like, women are the problem. Get back in the home and I'll wife you up, right? Like, is that really the problem? I don't know that that's the problem. I think I actually agree more with Josh. That it's like, if we drop the materialism of consumption and we lived more frugally, we could all probably have jobs that we kind of like.
I'm actually 100% in agreement with Josh as well. I think it is this sort of, it's a culture that's driven by incentives at a high level for consumerism and ongoing consumption, right? Of everything, right? From drugs to like medicine, drugs to shopping and retail, everything that we think is going to make us happy, and it's not making us happy. And what was I saying to somebody the other day? I was like, we have back in the 70s, it was right, or maybe 60s, it was like a mechanic could have a wife and raise kids, and the kids could go to college all on his salary, right? And like that can't happen anymore. But the odd trick, the funny thing is, so now I hear the key word is side hustle, and it's like, you need a side hustle. So I need to be working a full-time job. My spouse needs to be working a full-time job, and then I need a side hustle on the side because I need to be working on this new thing, right? And you're like, we are so far down the wrong rabbit hole, and like,
Yep.
the idea. So, and yeah, this is what I was saying to somebody. It's like, you take a workforce and you double that workforce. The basic laws of supply and demand. So you double the supply of workers. What happens to salaries? They half, right? That's basically the law, right? And that's essentially what we've done over the last 4 decades. Is we now have women have entered the workforce and are working as much or more than men, and salaries have not sustained with cost of living, which means you need 2 people working for almost the same amount of stuff. We just screwed ourselves. We just shot ourselves in the foot is all we did. It's
That's a fascinating. I've never even put that 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. See, and I would actually disagree with it pretty substantially.
Interesting.
For a variety of reasons. So I'm not.
No, the statistic that the wages have not kept up with the standard of living is 100% true. And that
whose wages though, Tom? You're only factoring in the average employee. Compare that to the top 10%.
Huh?
The top 10%, their wages have gone up, of income earners.
Oh, sure,
of wealth.
That's problematic too.
Business owners,
they're killing it. Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah, they've done great.
Right? So productivity, worker productivity has increased by something like 40-fold since the 1970s, and wages have gone up by about 10%.
Well, that's why that's such a tricky thing. We want the most capable people to have these important jobs, right? So if we can double the workforce and draw on capable women, that's a good thing. But to Tom's point, now we've created now everybody has to work instead of just one spouse in the family, because of the consumers. Well, sorry, I was just fascinated by both your points there. No, I agree with both of you.
Right, because my point would be, if we actually had a more even kind of distribution of the income, then wages would have gone up pretty substantially. right?
No,
Well,
because
now you're
you're saying
advocating
that
socialism.
productivity went up, but wages didn't.
I'm not
Makes no
actually even
sense.
advocating socialism. If you go back to the 1970s, the average Fortune 500 CEO made 30 times their lowest paid employee. Okay. Do you know what it is today?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's
It's
like 300.
300 times.
Yeah,
So they've
but
10x their salaries over the last 40 years. And what has everybody else done? Right? It's gone
This
up by
leads
10 to
this leads
20%.
right into our next topic, doesn't it?
no, this is exactly what I'm saying though, Ryan. It's that there's more supply, therefore they don't have to. They just go to the
Yeah.
lowest bidder. And like when you've got twice the workforce, they're like, oh well, I don't have.
Yeah.
I've got all
See,
these other people, these other options.
That's
I
that's
think I
true.
think this is area where we're probably going to have to agree to disagree because you're saying, oh, the fault is we've got more supply, and I'm saying no, it's actually a distribution of the overall wealth, right?
No,
And if we
But
redistributed the wealth in a better way, things would
what's
be great.
causing the Ryan? But what's causing the misalignment of distribution of wealth? It's that they don't have to pay. They don't have to be
yeah.
competitive. There's too much supply.
The
It's
redistribution of wealth, the numbers don't add up. They've done like they took the owners of Walmart and said if these
The
multi-billionaires,
Walton family.
if you took all of their money and distributed it to all of their employees, it would be a one-time payout of like $500 to each employee. Like, so your redistribution of wealth argument doesn't hold. It doesn't hold water. The numbers don't add up. But let's get back to the germane argument about the dating. My takeaway is young men are frustrated because they are living in a no-win world. They were raised on these Disney movies and these cartoons growing up saying if you work hard and you get a job and you can find your princess and you can live happily ever after. Well, it turns out you can't buy a house unless you're in the top 10% of earners. You have to make like $160,000 to afford a normal house now. And 80% of the women are only interested in 20% of the men. So unless you're really good looking and a high earner, you're out of luck. Like you can't even compete. What are these guys supposed to do? Why would they not be frustrated? Because this is the reality they're living in.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but can you answer your own question? What are they supposed to do?
I
largely
largely
burn it down.
Yeah, vote for Trump. This was the appeal. This is my third reference to him. Ryan's going to have a conniption fit. We talked
Jordan
about
Peterson.
this. Jordan Peterson. Why did because the left, the elite left, labeled all of these men incels, involuntarily celibate, and they're mad about it because they're just miserable and gross men. So they're picking on these guys that are already disenfranchised and frustrated because they're living in this no-win scenario. They don't know how to be masculine to attract a woman because being masculine is wrong. So they're trying to appease the liberals, but it's clearly not working out for them. That's why they all migrated. Hundreds of thousands of young men went to Jordan Peterson. He wasn't even looking for them. He was just posting his videos online, and his videos were essentially clean your room, find something to fix, and start fixing your life incrementally. Find small, aim up, find something good to aim at and aim at that. Like, he was just kind of coaching them on how to be better and do better, give them some purpose to work towards. And that gave a lot of young men hope. And guess what? Jordan Peterson was demonized for this, and so were the young men. They were called misogynists and toxic masculine douchebags for trying to better themselves because they were frustrated. Like, it's a no-win scenario for these poor schmucks. I can't even imagine being one of these young men that can't find a wife and can't get a house and can't get ahead. What a miserable situation. Why are you smiling, Tom?
Oh, because what you're saying, I see what you're saying with this does tie into the next subject, because yeah, it does.
Yeah.
This guy, Luigi.
What are you supposed to do when you're frustrated?
So
hey,
I think we're about done with this, and I know Tom does need to get going. I was just going to say, but can't that go too far when you get someone like an Andrew Tate? Are we familiar with Andrew Tate?
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
So isn't there some middle ground?
Sure, but we're not going to find a middle ground because you have to react violently to get any kind of attention, as we're going to find out. These young men just trying to incrementally fix themselves, is that going to fix our societal problem?
I don't know. I don't know that you gave me an answer for what we do. What is the answer?
Vote for Trump.
And that will solve exactly what?
No, really, it's we're going to have to, that pendulum that I was talking about earlier, it's going to have to swing back. It's going to have to swing back to the middle, where we're no longer pushing women into, you have to have a career, and men all suck and they're all toxic. The culture is just going to have to change.
I mean, I would say Trump said something in his victory talk. He talked about, I received a mandate, right, from the American people. And in a sense, right, he has, in the sense, well, it's the vote for Trump was the protest vote, the like, I do not agree with the mainstream and the mainstream messaging, and so and it's sort of like it is almost a mandate to him to be like, we want something different, give us something different. And
to Ryan's credit, it could be bad. It could be an Andrew Tate,
could be,
you know, something that's actually toxic masculinity, right?
I'm not necessarily, I'm not saying that is like the only place where it could end up, but I'm just, and I think you both actually agreed with me. Like we don't go that far, right?
We don't want that.
So, okay. I don't know that any of us have a definitive answer, but maybe the answer is somewhere in the middle.
Well, right. But you said, Ryan, we're going to have outliers on both sides. So it's like, or just, Andrew Tate's always going to exist. That's always going to be there. Are we recommending him? No, but like, that's always going to be there. But let's not embrace that.
If we had an actual healthy political system where the left and the right could actually talk to each other, and we had a proper tension where you were pulling us back that way and we were pulling this way, we could find a happy medium. But we don't have a healthy political system, so it's just going to be a violently swinging pendulum that just kind of crashes back and forth and wrecks the system, where we're trying to find a happy medium because we're not healthy. Sorry.
Okay. Moving on.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. That was fun. If you've got single men in your life, set them up with a woman. They clearly need some help. They don't know how to date anymore. They're all soy boys now. My daughter, my teenage daughter, she loves beating up boys. Like, she's so much more athletic than all the boys in her class. These boys need help, so help them out. Set them up to teach them how to talk to the ladies. Dating's hard enough. So, thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks. See you next time.
Josh, we may not always agree when it comes to politics, even though we're trying, but there is one thing we agree on. There is only one way to clean up after going to the bathroom, and that's with a Lux bidet.
I've been a proud owner of a Lux bidet for years. I have literally owned a Lux Neo 320 since 2013. That's the warm water model. Talk about happy, fun, poopy time. When I leave the bathroom, I know I'm clean and ready to talk politics in a civilized manner.
Exactly. Using a toilet without a bidet is about as uncivilized as it gets. Civil conversations demand civil hygiene practices.
And that is why our listeners should get themselves a Lux bidet.
And just to be clear, Lux is not supporting one side or the other in this podcast. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
Listeners can get their own Lux bidet with 10% off by ordering at luxbidet.com and using our promo code FCBG10, Finding Common Battlegrounds 10.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. The music is by Ben Sound. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not those of their employers. For more information or more episodes, you can find us at findingcommonbattlegrounds.com.
Okay. Let's find some snippets of time here and there, because there's a couple of things out there that are super interesting that I'd like to talk about.
Hunter Biden.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm amazed you guys have not brought this up. I was
it's
like,
such a softball.
How have they not brought up Hunter Biden?
We predicted it. Tom and I predicted this, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? It's like such a softball, but yeah,
I was so waiting for you guys to just be like, told you. Mafia family, mob.
I'll
They're
rake you over the
criminals.
coals with that one. If you want to get taken out to the
No, I
woodshed,
don't.
let's
I
do it.
don't. I don't.